5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Welcome back to the PPR Stock Report. You're with Joe Marshall and Trent Seibel. That is PPR Jesus and PPR Stat Grinder. We got some news, as always. Not a ton this week since not a lot to actually happen, but I imagine stuff is going to get real starting tonight. We got 4 days of football, week 3 of preseason, so we should have some actual good football happening, at least like semi-pro type of football, right?
Week 3 is when I start to get a semi myself, is because we get some actual real football. It's the dress rehearsal week. We're going to see some of these guys play into the third or through the third quarter. Tonight, through the entire weekend, you just mentioned off air, 4 straight days of football.
Gotta love it.
We're 2 weeks away. We're 14 days away from today until the opener, which is actually a rematch of the Super Bowl. Broncos and Panthers. So
I like it.
Yeah, it's getting to the nitty-gritty. For guys that haven't drafted yet, I mean, we're going to try to give some insight, some last-minute good advice for the upcoming drafts.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some good stuff out there, some good value to be had. Keep your ears to the ground because we talked about it all week, but this, like I said, this is the big week. This is where it gets real. Somebody is going down this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, death, taxes, and injuries. You're going to see somebody go down. Whether it's just let's say like a multi-week soft tissue type of thing, kind of, or like we just saw with Dion Lewis, kind of re-aggravating an existing injury. We saw it with Jordy early, but
we thought we were seeing it with Matt Jones last week, but then they came out and said that that's probably nothing too crazy, but someone's going down.
I hate to do this because this is just bad karma. Who do you see? Who do you peg for an injury?
I said it earlier this week, but I think, I hate to say it, but I was saying David Johnson, but I got a feeling, what if Zeke goes down tonight?
I read that he was going to see about a dozen snaps, I believe, a dozen plays. He came into camp overweight. He's already aggravated his hamstring. He allegedly aggravated some woman's face. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise. It would kind of go back to my Kardashian theme of the Cowboys. I'm just pulling this out of thin air. I'm kind of feeling Tyrod.
Some Tyrod?
Tyrod going down.
I hope not.
I hope not either. I enjoy watching him play. A young player we got to see kind of start to flourish last year.
I think he's my guy in 2-quarterback league. I've got him somewhere. No, he's my guy in the 18-team league. And that's a bummer because if he goes down, there's not a lot of people left in the 18-team league.
You're Sam Bradfording at best?
That'd be sad. Or Seaman.
Trevor Simeon, I believe it is.
Simeon, to me, he's Seaman.
From Northwestern.
Yeah, I don't care. He's Seaman because that's way better than Simeon.
Well, how about we just piggyback this into news? Trevor Simeon.
Yeah, you know what? We can actually jump right into our friend Jason Quinn from Twitter. We call it either one. So our friend Jason Quinn.
You better not edit that out either.
It's not getting edited.
All right.
So he was hitting us up, asking a couple questions. He just drafted what I think is a really good team, 2-quarterback league. He's got Rodgers and Brady when Brady comes back. He's kind of got Romo filling in until then. He's A.J. Green. He's got Cobb, Jamal Charles. I think all in all...
Moncrief, I see if he starts 3 receivers, that's a nice sneaky third receiver.
Yep, and he's got Marvin Jones, who we are really high on.
I have a Superman crush on Marvin Jones, yeah.
So he's got Melvin Gordon there. His first question was Rashad Jennings. He was looking at picking up maybe James White from the Patriots and dropping Rashad Jennings. To me, I feel like that's a bad move. Rashad Jennings is a guy the Giants have really talked about making kind of a workhorse for them. They're talking about not having any kind of committee going on there, and we've actually seen that a decent amount so far in the preseason.
Yeah. They've been using him in the goal line as well.
And he's
in
looked
the red
good.
zone.
He's been scoring some touchdowns.
No, I would hold Jennings in this scenario here. And then you have to remember, James White, he's going to be a part-time player. They haven't even announced exactly how long Dion Lewis is going to be out. It might be an 8 to 10 week injury, but that may be from the time of the new little procedure he's having done.
And it could be a couple weeks if it's just them going in and cleaning something out.
Sure.
We don't know what it is.
I mean, if he's on the in-season PUP list, that gets him out 6 weeks. I just think Rashad Jennings has a little bit more value than 6 weeks of James White.
And I think we both agree, if you're going to pick somebody up in that situation, I like LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount is super under-owned in a lot of these Yahoo leagues. We go through, most of our leagues are through Yahoo, and I mean, he's actually a free agent in some 10-guy leagues. This one looks like it's probably pretty competitive, so I doubt that, but you're not paying more than a 10th rounder for him anyways.
I think his, and I talked with him a little bit on Twitter, but his weaker spot is going to be at tight end. He's got Fleener. He obviously waited for tight end. That's how he got so strong in the rest of it. He's got Cook as his backup.
Jared Cook.
And he's playing for Green Bay now, an old Ram.
They still have Richard Rodgers there, though.
They do, but even if they didn't, I just haven't seen anything come out of the tight end situation out of Green Bay in a long time.
No, I stay away from Green Bay tight ends. They're usually, fourth or fifth in the pecking order in terms of targets in a best case scenario. So I would rather, and we've mentioned his name on the pod a few times, but guys like Clive Walford.
I really like Clive Walford. The guy that I like, who's really starting to pick up some steam, and he's actually getting picked more, so I think you got to grab him sooner than later, is going to be Virgil Green from over there in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking really, really good as well.
And you know what? Ladarius Green, apparently his scrambled brains are getting better. He's looking hopeful for week 1. I can't say probable because probable's not a thing anymore.
Probable's gone, which we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the last question he had was he's got kind of a quarterback conundrum. He's got Rodgers, who will be out.
How many damn questions does this guy have?
Hey, this guy's... He's ready to roll. He wants to win this league.
All right,
and
Jason.
We're going to help him do it.
We better get a cut.
So, he's got Rodgers going, but he's going to be gone week 4. Brady's not back week 4, so he's rolling with just Romo so far. 2-quarterback league. He was wondering who he should take. He's got Mark Sanchez available amongst a couple others. But Mark Sanchez is looking like he's not even the guy anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you're going to be safe with Mark Sanchez. I've pulled up week 4 here in terms of the schedule, so I can kind of peruse. Now, it's a 2-quarterback league, 10-team league.
So we don't know if these guys are going to be there, but if they are...
I would have to guess at least 25 quarterbacks are gone. So you're going to be, bottom feeding. I see Detroit and Chicago play. That's a juicy quarterback matchup on both sides. I like Stafford and Cutler. I bet they're both gone.
If it's me, honestly, I'm grabbing Seaman, see what happens. You got 4 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Osweiler was a late pick. Alex Smith, he's a guy that might be out there going against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh lets up some points.
What about Flacco? With his knee injury, he's late. He's out there late.
Yeah.
And RG3 is a guy that has looked really, really good also. And in some leagues, some people aren't catching up to the fact that he's looked really good so far. And he just might be a guy that you can put in there for that one game just to get you over the hump.
Yeah, I think basically the answer here, Jason, is just any starter that you see that's an actual starter.
Yeah, for one game.
Just grab them. You better grab them at least a week early, too, because somebody will see that and stash them. I know I would.
So I would say if you're going to pick between Sanchez and Seaman from the way it's looking, Simeon.
You're rolling with this Seaman thing. You're plowing ahead with it, huh?
That's what I'm going with. I mean, why not?
Are you waiting for your dad to yell at you or something?
Yeah. So go with that. We'll see how that works out. Any other questions, you guys can hit us up on Twitter. We'll talk about it on the pod. We'll hit you guys up on Twitter.
That's at PPR Stat Grinder. And for the time being, I am still at PPR Jesus.
And make sure you guys
any
throw
traction.
some names.
Yeah, any traction on that?
We got a couple of them. I really want a good one, though. Somebody threw out a couple of names. There was Deflated Balls, which you've got that low T thing going on, so that could work in this.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that to the listeners.
Now they know. Throwing your business out there. We've got a PPR Atheist instead of PPR Jesus. Somebody was
fitting.
Throwing that out there.
Okay.
So... But we're going to find the perfect 1-week name for PPR Jesus.
So, what's your cutoff here? Just before the regular season starts? When are we gonna decide on something?
Let's pull the trigger by the next podcast. So that'll give me roughly 7 days to figure something out.
Okay, we'll come up.
So
with
right
something.
now, I think Deflated Balls is the lead runner.
Do you think it's because I'm such a perfect specimen that people are having trouble, picking fun at me or making a new name.
PPR Jesus is a really good name, especially with that picture you had. What happened to the picture of actual PPR Jesus? It was Jesus with a football.
Do you know, I wanted to let all of Twitter see my beautiful face. Actually, I went with my neck injury photo.
Yeah, right after the surgery.
Yeah, and a neck brace,
So,
like a dog collar.
Well, we'll roll into the news. And I mean, on the beer side of the news, we're drinking something different today that is Heineken. It's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, Trent.
We've been drinking a lot of Golden Light, stuff like that, so I switched it up some.
You just had too much good beer in your life? You just had to drink some of this skunky shit?
But it's more expensive.
Yeah.
It should be better.
I was very surprised when I saw the green bottles.
You're going to be so jealous, though, because I went to Quick Trip for it, and I actually got 2 Quick Trip donuts, which is the...
Where are they at?
They're gone. They didn't make it here. I don't know if anybody is... I'm not even getting paid by Quick Trip to say this, but they have the best donuts on the planet. Better than any of those other places.
Quick Trip's not everywhere, so that's a local convenience store, gas station.
If you don't have it, then that's sad for you.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's a Heineken today, which is weird. We don't have the twist top.
I'm not going to give it 2 thumbs down, but it's certainly a thumb and a half down.
I think that they thought that they'd be cooler about not having twist top. That's kind of a bummer too.
Yeah, just make it harder to drink their crap.
Something. All right, so what do we have for news? We had to dig deep for news this week. Like I said, nothing has really happened.
Well, when you say, nothing has happened, camp's starting to slow down. Teams they're getting into more of their walkthroughs. They're getting into more of film. Coaches are getting ready to cut the rosters down to 75 and then down to 53 ultimately. So there's other decisions being made. I was looking at individual player news. One that stuck out to me was Jordy. It looks like he was back at practice on Tuesday.
And he's back!
And that was the first time since he allegedly injured his other knee. He was just doing some individual drills. Now, they interviewed him, and they were asking about, what he was worried about. And he said that he wasn't really worried about the chemistry between him and Aaron Rodgers, but he is worried about his own conditioning. So let me ask you this. We're not going to see him this weekend, and he's concerned about his own conditioning. And he's injured his other knee. I think you said Dr. Gene Bremmel said that he has some tendonitis going on. I mean, what's your temperature on Jordy?
I still got to like Jordy. I think he's going to go out there and do some Jordy-ness. He's going to be... I think he'll be close to the Jordy that we saw.
Is that your professional opinion? He's going to do some Jordy-ness?
Jordy-ness should be a real word.
Let's see if I can open this beer.
First try, boom.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
With the table. So I think he's going to go out there. I think he'll do well. I do worry. I don't know what it means when he says he's worried about his conditioning. He's a farm boy, so, I mean, maybe he just got too much weight right now throwing all those hay bales. Maybe that's how he wrecked his knee again in the first place. I can't believe that he's fat.
Jordy's not a spring chicken either. I know you and I kind of were going back and forth on Twitter about Dez, and you kind of you said something that set my crazy brain off, and you said something about him being injury prone. And, I kind of mentioned to you that in 5 years, Dez had only missed 1 game before last year. Dez is 27. Now, Jordy's 31. So, coming off a blown knee, problems with his other knee. I have shares in Jordy, so I want him to do well. But, I mean, I think right now, if you're drafting and you're seeing news like this, you might take that Alshon over him right now.
And you actually tried to move Jordy.
I did, yes, unsuccessfully.
Didn't work out. And it was a pretty good offer that you had. So
offered in a PPR league. I offered Jordy Nelson and C.J. Anderson for Odell. Sometimes it's hard to get those bigger pieces, and owner declined.
The 2-for-1.
Yeah. And the owner also has Randall Cobb, so I probably should have put a little bit more thought into that trade offer. Anyways, let's move on. Moving on. What else do we have?
We talk about some Tom Brady business.
Let's talk about Tom Brady's business.
So apparently Tom Brady cut his thumb. I saw a scissor injury, but then I saw he was doing something with his shoe, so maybe he was trying to cut a tag out of his shoe. I don't know, but he cut his thumb, and then immediately after that was before last week's game.
Yeah, so he was supposed to start the game.
But he didn't end up playing because of it. I guess they just wanted to be careful, said let's not do it. He was kind of bummed out about it. He wanted to play. And then after that, he's missing 2 practices for a personal reason. He apparently had a funeral that he had to attend. At which time, the Patriots being the Patriots, I was very worried that he was going to come back with an amputated hand, the way
they report their injuries.
But he's back. Everything should be good. How do you feel about Tom Brady? Does this injury even matter?
No, it doesn't matter at all.
Especially being gone 4 weeks.
Since I have the vocabulary of an 8-year-old, my takeaway from this, because that's the only word I know how to say, my takeaway is I think this is a plus for Jimmy Garoppolo and his confidence and him potentially getting to run those practices without Tom Brady over his shoulder or Tom Brady almost stealing the spotlight of it. So he got to be the guy for those practices. And in the preseason games so far, he's played a full half both games.
And he's looked pretty good.
He's actually, and we're going to get into the games, he's a guy that I really am going to be watching closely in his dress rehearsal. And he's playing a tough defense in Carolina. So I think this is basically the perfect test for him to kind of see how he's going to be able to handle the heat.
So
he only has 30 career attempts. So, I mean, he's pretty green.
He's
He's almost as green as Seaman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, piggybacking back to Jason Quinn, that's another guy. Garoppolo probably is there for 4 games, and that solves your not having Brady problem.
Yeah, do you know what, Jason Quinn? You drafted Brady. Why didn't you just take Garoppolo?
And then you're done with that. It's fixed.
Unless one of his friends pulled a dick move and took him.
Jerks. So, yeah, the Brady thing, I'm not really too worried about it. There's a little bit of news about Tyler Boyd, and this is good news. Apparently, Tyler Boyd is really fitting in that locker room and kind of taking a leadership role. And for a rookie, that's pretty rare, and especially for them to come out and say the things that they're saying about him.
Tyler Boyd playing for the Bengals. He's in, I guess, kind of a little bit of a dogfight with Brandon LaFell, washed up Brandon LaFell, for the number 2 role in Cincinnati, which I actually believe the number 2 role in Cincinnati with Marvin Jones gone, Mohamed Sanu gone, he's in Atlanta. Tyler Eifert's banged up. He may miss time at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they're saying he's barely jogging right now. So.
I really think that the number 2 receiver in Cincinnati could have some fantasy value, and it looks like that's going to be Tyler Boyd. Like you said, Trent, gaining confidence of the teammates in the locker room. He's also shown big play potential in the first 2 preseason games. He scored a touchdown last week on a really nice fade, and then the first week he had a 40-yard catch, not for a touchdown, but a real nice play. So making plays, showing leadership, and the guy he's competing at is basically dog shit.
Yeah, LaFell, he's a guy that hasn't been anything in a while. So most dropped passes in the league last year. I can't imagine that. That's pretty much a competition that you win before you start. So
Tyler Boyd, late rounder, obviously, Trent.
Yeah, if you're drafting now, grab him late. Real good pick.
Give me a guy you might take him over that might wow me.
Right now, the Tyler Boyd is going in my book over. Let's see. Sammy Coates.
Sammy Coates. There we go. That's probably.
I think that's a good flip flop from a couple weeks ago.
I think so too. Sammy Coates was overwhelmingly going above Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd was going heavily undrafted. I would take Tyler Boyd ahead of Sammy Coates in any format right now.
I think so too.
Fantasy guys, they get, ourselves included, we get in love with situation out over talent, and that's what happened with Sammy Coates. It looks like it just everybody thought collectively that the situation he was in was so good. And he has a similar build to, say, Martavis Bryant, that he's just going to step in and fill in. And it really doesn't, his performance hasn't shown that that's the case, at least.
Hey, if you're a wide receiver, I don't care what situation you are, you still got to be able to catch the ball. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And he has shown that he's having some trouble with that.
Guy I want to talk about, if you don't mind me cutting in here, is Jeremy Langford. I have Jeremy Langford shares, you know that.
Crippled old Jeremy Langford?
Yeah, last week he had 9 carries, 55 yards, touchdown, looked really good.
And then he shows up in a walking boot.
Yeah, surprisingly showed up to practice in a walking boot. I believe it was Saturday. There was a shroud of mystery about what the injury was. Coach Fox wasn't really saying what was going on.
This is like the worst trend in football. They know that fantasy is such a big deal, and they're just making it so difficult to know what the heck's going on with these players.
Yeah, it looks like he got his foot stepped on. He returned to practice yesterday in a limited role, so it looks like he's going to be fine, but the walking boot might have been just a bit much for having his foot stepped on.
Hey, if I'm John Fox, I'm not telling people that my player is broken because someone stepped on his foot. That's like going to prison. That's like going to max security prison for like stealing candy bars. It just doesn't look so good at all. Maybe they're being dishonest about it. We see this happen. We saw the same thing with Sammy Watkins last year. We saw it with Kevin White kind of deal, where these injuries that are supposed to be nothing turn out to be something big.
Yeah,
hopefully
Perriman.
that's not the deal. Yeah, and he's gone for the whole year last year, so something to just keep an eye on. Hopefully it's nothing like you said. But so what else do we have for news?
Well, let's kind of go down the list here. I'm a little bit off the ball here.
Sammy Watkins, we just actually brought him up, but he's supposed to be playing this week, right?
Yeah, first time we're going to see him with his foot injury. He's a guy I've shied away from in all of my drafts. What's your feeling on Watkins?
Watkins is a guy that I am probably going to miss out on. I can't tell somebody to not take him because he's a guy that's probably going to score a lot of points.
Sammy Watkins, Larry Fitzgerald.
I would say that Sammy Watkins, but that's a bad one for me because you know how I feel about Arizona's wide receiver core this year.
Okay. Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb.
Sammy Watkins, Doug Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin.
Sammy Watkins, Golden Tate.
Oh, that one's closer. Man, that one's real close to me. I'm gonna have to say probably Sammy Watkins because of the Marvin Jones.
I mean,
situation.
Sammy Watkins is the talent in most of these answers, but it's just the situation I don't love. Sammy Watkins, Jeremy Maclin.
I still gotta say Jeremy Maclin.
Okay.
Jeremy Maclin actually has looked really good too. So, and that's a lot of it's because we haven't seen Sammy Watkins, and he's even come out and said his ankle's good, but he just hasn't trusted it himself yet. So he's not cutting mental.
I love Sammy Watkins coming out of Clemson. He's a super talent. In a Rex Ryan offense, it's going to be a heavy run offense. I just don't love his situation. Again, I'm probably repeating myself pretty often here. But I like him more in standard leagues, Trent. You know he's going to hit the long home run, like a Deshaun Jackson. But he's not typically going to be your, 8, 9, 10 catch a game guy consistently. So I tend to shy away from guys like that in PPR.
And he's also basically dependent on Ty God, who you think's getting hurt tonight anyways.
I hope not. I just had to pick a guy, mobile quarterback, kind of an easy target to pick on.
Eric Ebron, supposedly on track to play week 1, but we still don't know. He's got that ankle injury. A lot of people thought that he had an injured Achilles, which is a very painful injury and somewhat more difficult to come back from sometimes.
One of the more difficult injuries to come back from is the Achilles, and it looks like he avoided that, Trent. Reason to bring up Ebron is because he's a real breakout candidate, and as far as the tight ends go.
I dropped him this week.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens with him. I hope to see him back. I did read that it looks like Brandon Pettigrew, the backup there, is going to be out for the year. So, they really need to get him back in there. And if he's out there on waiver wires or free agent lists,
scoop him up if you got room.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're for some reason holding a second bad defense or a kicker, let's at least get through August, the first week of September, and pick up guys like this.
What about Rawls? How are we looking on him and his injury? From what I understand, he's not ready yet either.
No, we're not going to see him in the games tonight.
And you got to be worried.
We're recording Thursday,
guy.
so yeah, he plays tonight. Now, Seattle, they came out today and said that he's on track for week 1, but there's just a few things going against him. I mean, this is not a guy with a ton of experience. I mean, don't have his numbers in front of us here, but around somewhere 150 carries last year. It wasn't like he took on the largest workload ever. Then he got injured. Christine Michael actually ended the year pretty strong, and he actually was their leading rusher through the playoffs.
The legend of Christine Michael.
The legend of Christine Michael, yes. So he's played really well this offseason. He's played really well this preseason. So there's a few things, going against Thomas Rawls. He's a guy I've also stayed away from. And, just keep your eye on this injury. The fact that we haven't seen him in really any capacity has to have you, a little bit worried.
It does. If it's Adrian Peterson in the same offense that he's been in and he's not playing a lot of games, Jamal Charles hasn't played a lot of games, I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
Rawls needs to be out there. He needs to be doing it.
These are 8-year, 9-year vets.
So
no, one note here is that, in Yahoo leagues, Christine Michael is only owned in 21% of leagues.
I think people are starting to catch on to the legend of Christine Michael.
You're saying there's some Christine Michael fatigue?
Yeah, I'd imagine Christine Michael and Michael Floyd are in similar things where they both have like these huge breakout potentials every single year, and it just hasn't happened. Maybe this is a year for both of them, but hey, if you got room, grab him. Why not?
A guy I've been keeping my eye on. We've kind of talked about him actually on a couple different pods here.
Gosh, this is a flip-flop situation. You going to talk about Jeremy Hill?
I am, yeah. Let's bring him up, Jeremy Hill. It just looks like I've kind of checked his and Gio's ADP, and
they've gone back and forth.
They really have. Now, Jeremy Hill, he's the hot name right now, coming off a very strong performance in preseason week 2. The Cincinnati beat writer Paul Dehner Jr. believes he's going to have a large year, and he's predicting more yards from scrimmage total than Gio. Now, if he gets more of that role that he had his rookie year, he was really the lead dog back, and Gio played more of, I use the term a lot.
Third down deal.
Yeah, third down back or a scat back, as they used to be known. Are you getting a little closer to saying, okay, I'm going to roll the dice on Hill being, a lead dog other than one of these guys like Gio?
In a PPR format, I still want it to be Gio because you've said it before, that's where the easier points are going to come. But if it turns out we're seeing that Hill is the guy that's getting the lion's share of the carries, you've got to just buy into the Jeremy Hill.
Yeah, he can do it. And, I like pedigree as well. He went to a big SEC school. He went to LSU. He can run. He has talent. I'm getting a little bit more hyped up on him. I still don't love, Trent, I don't love either of their price tags. Here's a name I'll throw out. Jeremy Hill, 6th round. Again, I beat this name to death. LeGarrette Blount, 10th or 11th round. The Patriots are going to be scoring opportunities. Brady lists for 4 weeks. And then you say Gio, he's being picked right around that 6th round as well. So you got Charles Sims, Theo Riddick. Yeah, sorry, I can go on and on.
You're good. I question LeGarrette Blount. If he does retain goal line duties, and that's the majority of what he is, what do you think his touchdown percentage is? You think he gets close to a touchdown a game? You think he gets a touchdown every 2 games?
Yeah, touchdown every other game. I could really see him being in that 8 to 10 touchdown range. Standard leagues, that's really, really good. PPR, he'll still need to do more than that to really have weekly value, but he's going to be a guy that your opponent plugs in there. You have 2 stud running backs. You have Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley, and you're feeling really good.
And then Blount gets 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and then LeGarrette Blount runs for 9 yards and 2 touchdowns. Exactly.
So
frustrating.
Yeah. What came out of over there in New Orleans? Some Michael Thomas news this week with Sean Payton.
Yeah, Coach Payton said, to reporters there that he would actually draft him in fantasy if he had him.
Are coaches allowed to play fantasy football?
I don't think they are. I'm not sure how much we are allowed to with how much is going on. It looks like I tried to do a pay league in CBS. It's a $250 league, CBS Sports Line.
They shoot you down?
We live in St. Louis, Missouri. So I can't do it. It says I'm not allowed to do it anymore. I've done it for years and years and years.
What if you go on an Indian reservation?
maybe I have my own laws. I don't know. I can't speak.
It's so weird how that is, man. I've read that maybe it's New York or something. You can do like DFS, but you can't do the next one. It's crazy how these laws are. It's wild. But
we've heard good things out of Michael Thomas from preseason and camp. When you hear the coach come out and kind of champion for him like this, do you take anything away from that?
Well, I believe we heard the coach champion last year for Josh Hill over there.
That's very true.
Same kind of deal, and nothing came of that. But everything that we've seen from Michael Thomas is good, and probably what's good for Michael Thomas and his productivity for this year more than anything is the fact that I traded him in preseason. And anytime that happens, the last big rookie trade that I basically, and it wasn't a trade, I actually dropped him, was Odell Beckham Jr., and then, well, we all know what happened with that.
Yeah, he was overwhelmingly, under-owned because he was injured for so long going into the season, and, there was not really a good outlook of when he was going to play. Let me roll into more Saints talk here, just because you mentioned last year the tight end talk out there, and then Ben Watson actually ended up being the guy, and it really didn't look like that was going to be the case. Now, this year, it's a little different. Everybody in fantasy is in love with Coby Fleener, in love with the situation, and it looks like he's really not grasping the offense, and Coach Payton has voiced concerns regarding him. He's still struggling. He's a work in progress. Those were his words. I've seen him personally drafted above guys like Travis Kelce even, and, you're hearing that at one time he was listed as a 4th tight end. I don't know if that was an error or what, but the fact that there's still talk this late into preseason that he's struggling to pick up the offense, that has to be a smidge concerning.
If I've got Fleener right now, I'm definitely going to make sure that I've got my hands on another tight end that I can plug in there for a week or two. Give him a
aforementioned Virgil Green.
I really like Virgil Green the way he's looking. Did you watch him last week? He had some real nice catches from Seaman.
Man, oh man, oh man.
He was
Seaman hit him deep.
Seaman hit him deep.
I'm going lowbrow.
Man, and it was some like running plays. He looks like the guy that's when stuff's breaking down, he is that safety valve, and he's doing it very well. So, if I'm grabbing Fleener, I'm grabbing something like what we said, Clive Walford, Virgil Green, something along those lines. I'm not just rolling with Fleener, not right now.
So, if you have Fleener, you're grabbing Seaman's largest target.
That might have been the dirtiest thing you've ever said on this podcast.
Okay, hey, we had some Josh Gordon news. First, the news was just that he looks phenomenal. Joe Hayden came out and said that Josh Gordon hasn't lost a step. He looked a smidge bigger.
You mean like he's looking good at football or he's looking suave?
He's looking good at football.
Okay.
Looking good at football. So we heard some great things about him from Joe Hayden, Pro Bowl cornerback. And then later in the week, there was some buzz. There was some trade buzz. Now, he says he doesn't want to be traded. Browns, of course, deny that. I guess what do you see as a good fit for Josh Gordon? Still only 25 years old. I mean, I know he's a moron, but he's talented. He's only 25 years old.
I can't see Josh Gordon going anywhere. 4 weeks ago, I would have said for sure Josh Gordon doesn't go anywhere. But now, as weird as it is, Terrell Pryor, former quarterback, is killing it over there.
He looks really good.
He does look really good.
He looks like a wide receiver.
He looks like they might not need Josh Gordon.
I mean, we've heard really good things about Corey Coleman. I mean, he's in a little bit more of the cloth of a slot receiver because of his size. It's hard to say you don't need Josh Gordon. I mean, you don't need the nonsense that comes along with him. Give me a team. Just where do you see a good fit if they were to move him?
Well, what about the Bears? You've got Kevin White. They're really expecting him to step up. He needs to step up. But we haven't necessarily seen that that's going to happen. All they have is Alshon.
Alshon free agent next year.
So you get Josh Gordon in there. If he can actually stay healthy and out of trouble, he's a guy that could be on the opposite side of the field as Alshon really well. Be a nice 1-2.
Really losing confidence in Kevin White, and we're going to get into that a little bit more. I didn't really think of the Bears. That's not a bad thought, really, with Alshon as a free agent. Of course, the first team that comes to my mind is the Cowboys. It just seems like a match made in heaven. He's going to provide enough TMZ bullshit gossip to be a Cowboy.
They love that.
Yeah, they absolutely feed off that. Now, Dez, he's getting to that point in his career, I believe, where, and you said injury prone. He's played hurt. He really has through his career. Now, he's coming off the foot. He just was concussed this past week. I really think he's getting to a point here in the next year or two where he's going to need a receiver opposite of him that can draw legitimate coverage. And I don't know if the dollars are there for Dallas for that move, but that would be a move that it makes sense to me. He played college ball down in Texas. I'm sure he has a big following down there, him being Josh Gordon. I mean, I think that's kind of the obvious team, but that's the team that I would say makes, the most. And also not in the same conference, so the Browns could, kind of trade with the Cowboys and not worry about their division or conference.
Well, I mean, every job has its own benefits, and I'm pretty sure working for Dallas, you kind of have your own. They have like their own benefits. It's like a built-in bail bond kind of setup. It's like right in your contract.
Yeah, I mean, you have like VIP all-day passes to like strip clubs.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to go to jail.
You have prepaid legal for you for free. Yeah,
it's already waiting. So yeah, I mean that'd be a good fit. I mean you got to like that. So I don't know. I still don't see him moving, but if he does, I mean it's a little bit of a risk.
I mean, how shitty would that be for the Browns? They've held on to him for 2 calendar years without seeing him play football.
Probably as shitty as it was when I held him for 10 weeks 2 years ago and he came back and did nothing for me.
Okay, let's just touch on we'll breeze over a few guys here. Jamal Charles, he's back to practice, full participant, but he's been ruled out for the rest of preseason.
He's one of those guys, like we said, doesn't necessarily need the preseason.
Now, actually, in interesting development, Charkandrick West will also be out this week, so we're going to get a full dosage.
It's going to be the Spencer Ware show.
It will be, and actually, I think that's a good fit for week 3. Let's see him, maybe get into the teens and carries, see that he's going to be, because he's kind of been crowned the handcuff for Jamal, so let's see what he could do with that.
And a lot of people don't even know that. I keep seeing in these different mocks when people actually draft late, I'm seeing Sharkandrick getting taken before him.
I've seen that
points.
too. Like Sharkandrick is a last rounder when Spencer Ware's still there. No, I've seen that as well, Trent. That's a good point. Also, Adrian Peterson, no big surprise here. I don't really think he's nursing any injury. The Vikings, they just said that you're not going to see him in the preseason.
He's got 31 syndrome.
Yeah, he has 30. What does he gain from the preseason?
Nothing. Zeke's going to be playing.
The Zeke, our weekly Zeke talk.
Zeke. We haven't said anything about Le'Veon Bell. That's very
Ding.
sad. I don't even want to ring the bell for that.
I don't think there's much to talk about right now. We're just waiting for the 3-game suspension.
That's a bummer. I thought we were going to get something out of Le'Veon every single week, but I guess it's Le'Veon Bell or Zeke. So Zeke's going to be playing. Do you expect a lot out of him tonight? Do you think he's going to be out there for a lot of time, or are they just going to...
I read 12 plays, like 12 scripted plays. I don't have high expectations for this guy this early. He came in out of shape. He's been nursing an injury. I'm not sure how much work he's got done in camp. This is getting interesting to me. A month ago, Trent, I was looking back at this. A month ago, before we had our Zeke bet. Now, for those who may be just getting into listening, we just got on iTunes, so we're getting a little bit more following now. Trent and I had a bet after Zeke had these domestic violence allegations against him. That
disappeared.
Yeah, they gone. That his ADP was going to drop so many. I lost the bet. Well, at that time, he was being drafted around 8th, 9th overall. And these are in PPR leagues. Now, I went back to the end of June, beginning of July for people that draft that early, and we have before. He was being drafted like 6th overall. So it's getting interesting because Alfred Morris has looked very spry, and he's a good back. He's a good veteran back. He can block. I don't know. I'm holding my breath saying this, but this might be a little bit more of a share than people realize.
People aren't buying into Alfred Morris yet either, and that's kind of crazy. From what he has shown and what he's been able to do in the past with the Redskins.
He strung together 3 straight 1,000-yard years. He ran for 1,600 yards. That was with the Redskins.
I'm telling you, there is not another backup back in the league that has more value than Alfred Morris if the number one goes down. If Ezekiel goes down, I think if he goes down early in the season, Alfred Morris runs for 1,300 yards in that offense.
Oh, I agree. I think he could run for... Darren McFadden had over 11. Do you know what? Darren McFadden led NFC... Oh, no, he didn't. Darren McFadden had 1,100 yards rushing. I was going to say he led NFC running backs, but he didn't. Doug Martin had more. Adrian Peterson had more. I just had a little Heineken moment. Sorry.
Listen, if Zeke goes down, what do you say? He's a running back. He's got to be in the running back 1 conversation for sure. Right on the border of running back 2 at worst, and you're getting him for a last round pick. Alfred Morris needs to be on somebody's team.
Absolutely. If you see Alfred Morris on the waiver wire, and I'm in a league where he's on the waiver wire, I think I'm going to go ahead. I have Dion Lewis. I think I'm going to drop Neon Dion for him.
Yeah, I might hold on to Dion for 1 more week to see if some news comes out, but at this point, we're not even guaranteed that he's going to play a down of football this year.
And Heineken's getting you confident to tell me what to do.
I tell you what to do.
That's really it in terms of news that I had kind of drummed up at least.
Well, so that's player news, but let's talk about, and Alfred Morris is actually a real good segue into this because...
Look at you go with the segue.
The segue?
Do you know the creator of the Segway, the motorized scooter that, stands upright, the Segway?
What all the, unarmed security guys have?
Yeah, sure, Paul Blart. Segway.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Do you know the creator of the Segway actually died on a Segway?
You would think that would make it not be so popular.
He ran off of a cliff.
Well, who drives a Segway by a cliff?
Yeah, I guess he thought his Segway skills were on fleek,
but they were not.
You see how I do that on fleek? I don't even know what that means. I've just read it on Twitter.
In my brain, when you die in a Segway, you hit a parking block or something and go head first and have some type of...
Sounds like you were segueing into the Dallas-Seattle game that's on tonight, on Thursday night.
I was not.
It sounded like you were. We were talking Alfred Morris. You said that's a perfect segue. Were you just wanting that segue conversation?
I just like the word. No. One thing that we didn't talk about as far as news goes is probable tag being gone. We mentioned it. And because of that, so just to recap on that, probable tag is gone. if you have any injury whatsoever now, you are questionable, which really hurts people. If you're playing Monday Night Guy that has some kind of injury, you have no idea if he's playing.
Yeah.
Late Sunday night games. So
this is a questionable move by the NFL.
I don't like it. It's making fantasy harder,
So-
but I guess maybe you just got to have more skills or listen to the PPR Stock Report more often.
You do. Tune in. iTunes, suckers.
But if you got guys like Ezekiel Elliott, any of those, to me that makes your handcuffs, especially guys as good as Alfred Morris, way more valuable.
Yeah, you brought this up, and that's a very valid point, because if you're playing on Sunday night and you have, go ahead, Ezekiel Elliott, what do you do if he doesn't play? If you don't see the probable tag, he's questionable. I mean, it does leave it a little bit tougher to decide. Now, here's one thing I will say. That's at the NFL level. Now, doing the leagues on Yahoo,
they still have it.
I'm still seeing the P for probable. I don't know if that's going to change or if they're going to try to... I don't really know how they're going to decipher that just based on the notes they get. I don't know, but that is something to monitor. That is going to... that's a whole new wrinkle into strategy.
Maybe fantasy writing or fantasy podcasting is going to have to replace that.
Look, I'll tell you what. Tune in to the PPR Stock Report weekly.
We'll say probable.
No, but, you have decisions. Your third receiver... Say you have, let's go Macklin versus Baldwin. I kind of favor Baldwin right now. They're close. So I'd prefer Baldwin in there, but if I'm seeing a questionable tag, he plays at 3, Macklin plays at noon, I feel like my hand's kind of forced to play Macklin there,
Unless you got somebody that can give you decent points in his stead. And it depends also how competitive your league is. We've had it before where, you're rolling into a Monday night game, you got a guy that's questionable, and Moncrief is playing Monday night, and he might not be playing, so you go and grab Philip
Dorsett.
Yeah, Dorsett. I just teleported to Miami.
You were hey, same draft class, okay?
Yeah, all right, so you grab Dorsett knowing that if Moncrief doesn't play, that was your guy to grab last minute, and now he's gone. But if you've already got that handcuff, that's not a move that your opponent can make. So to me, handcuffs are going to be a lot more valuable moving forward. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're done with the news. When we get back, we're going to roll right into all of the games we have coming up this week. See you in a minute.
Every time you put me on hold, there is obscene music playing.
And we're back.
That's my line, sucker!
I beat you to it. I had to.
Welcome back to the PPR Stock Report. Taking it back.
If you were listening, you just heard some really cool music. We don't have that here in studio. You add that in afterwards. But it gets me pumped up.
Well, now that we're on iTunes, we are going to be upgrading our equipment soon, and I'll be able to press one button, and that music's just going to happen.
Okay.
We're going high tech, like...
Yeah,
it's going to be like some Star Trek business.
That music, it's like some gym, pumping iron music.
It gets me going. So let's jump into these games. We've got Thursday night games, Friday night games, Saturday night games, and Sunday night games.
So you're telling me my life has meaning again?
Once again, yes. It also means we got to find ways to get away from the wives. Get to do some sneaky football stuff, working late.
Yeah, my wife enjoys football. She likes to include herself, not as much as I do, of course. So it's a real nice balance. I get some bro time that I need and enjoy, and then I do enjoy her company. She has a fantasy team that she manages. She
does pretty well. I think she loves making the names more than anything. She comes up with some good names.
Oh, yeah. She's finished second and third in her 2 years, so she really cares.
I have a wife that pretends in public to like fantasy football because I make her pretend in public that she likes fantasy football.
Did I bring up the DeAndre Hopkins story about Aaron, my wife, on the pod?
I don't think so, but that was probably one of the better ones.
Okay, it's going to be quick. I know we're running low on time. This is our first year that she did fantasy football. She did a team.
She got so excited about it.
Oh, yeah. She was doing really well. She had DeAndre Hopkins. Now, this is in 2014, so this is before his huge breakout season. He
was still good.
Yeah, he was still really good. He played on Thursday night, and we didn't get to watch the game for whatever reason, and we went to bed early. And Aaron's a high school teacher. She woke up pretty early, about 5 a.m.
She was getting ready for work.
And then she checked her fantasy app, Yahoo Fantasy app, and she saw DeAndre Hopkins had a poor night. He had like
2 points, I think it was.
Yeah, I think he had one catch for like 7 yards or 17 yards, something like that. And then I just hear her. I'm like, one-eyeing it, barely awake. And then I hear her in there, DeAndre Hopkins, 2 points? Idiot. And it was just, I think I just fell in love with her all over again.
You proposed like that night. Yeah. So what do we got tonight? We've got Atlanta and Miami. By the time you listen to this game is either on or over, which is kind of a bummer. But I really like what I've been seeing out of Devonta so far.
Devonta Freeman?
Yes.
Yeah.
I picked him in our main league. I've got a lot of shares in him. I want to see some more Devonta tonight.
We're similarly high on him. I don't understand when I'm seeing him picked in the end of the second round.
Or beginning of the third
He
sometimes.
outscored every other running back in PPR formats by 50-some-odd points.
By catching a lot of footballs.
Yes, over 70 receptions.
It's not like he needs to keep running. Most of his points are from catching a football. People worry about Tevin Coleman taken from him. Hey, grab Tevin Coleman. We just talked about handcuffs.
Yeah. Of course, I want to see Devonta Freeman as well.
You want to see some Julio?
Yeah, really, as a guy that has as many Julio shares as I do, I don't want to see Julio. You run him out there ceremoniously with those double ones on the back of his jersey, and then you get him out of there.
Julio is my wife's guy this year.
Yeah.
She's got her team, Game of Jones,
that's
is
a
what
good
she is
one.
right now.
Now, actually, a guy I'm really going to keep my eye on here is Mohamed Sanu.
Gosh, Sanu, pretty decent when he was the guy over there in Cincinnati. A lot of you got to expect a lot out of him.
Yeah, he has a chance to really cement himself as the true number 2 in this offense. And I hate admitting it, but Julio's been a guy. I don't like injury prone, but he's been a guy who's been beat up and has dealt with soft tissue injuries, more often than not. So Mohamed Sanu, he's a guy on the Atlanta side that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. What about Miami?
Can we talk about Philip Dorsett?
No, because he doesn't. We can talk about Devontae Parker.
Just doing the flip-flop. Gotta make up. All right, so Devontae Parker, he's a guy that is really supposed to be taken off down there.
Yes.
But he's not. Not yet.
Now, at least with him, we saw something to end the year last year. He ended really hot. So I guess we got to see it in real life. Now, this offseason and preseason, we haven't seen too much. So is he kind of the guy that you're going to be focused in on most?
I'm going to watch to see what he does. He needs to do something for me or he's not going to be on my team. As far as the Miami side of things, especially in these 2 quarterback leagues, I'm really going to be watching Tannehill. He looked really, really good last week.
Yeah.
And a lot of people...
He found Kenny Stills twice deep.
And if you just look at his stat line, he doesn't look like he played as well as he did. Because he did have that real ugly drop by Jordan Cameron that would have been a 3rd touchdown in 4 drives. So I'm going to watch him. We've got Dallas and Seattle.
Oh, I don't get to talk about Miami?
Nobody cares about your Miami business.
I want to talk about Miami.
All right, what do you got about Miami?
Devontae Parker, obviously we're going to be keeping his eye on him. But, the talk from early in preseason is the whole running back conundrum there.
Foster?
Yeah.
He's been doing everything perfect.
Yeah.
So I did read today about Foster that this is the first time that he's gone this far into preseason without a soft tissue injury in quite a while. Apparently he's doing some things different as far as his conditioning goes, getting himself more healthy. We heard the same stuff last year on the Jordan Reed side of things when he was real injury prone, and he turned in one of his best years ever. Are you expecting that out of Foster?
No, I'm not. I actually expect that to be a muddled up mess of multi-running backs. Now, this kind of plays into what you talked about Tannehill. I think they're going to end up relying on him more than they'd almost like to. But I do want to see, I'm going to tune in and watch. I want to see Foster. It's such a small sample size. Not my boy.
Your boy, Ajayi?
My boy. Foster, 2 carries, -5 yards. Again, I'm not going to dismiss him because of that, but it's obviously not 2 carries, 60 yards.
That's the Foster we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I want to see something. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. I'm also going to keep my eye on the stands, because I'm pulling it up here on my iPhone to show you. I'm not sure if you realize the hotness that is Ryan Tannehill's wife, Lauren Tannehill.
Oh, I've been watching Ryan Tannehill's wife for quite many moons.
Yeah, I think I'm going to change my team name to I Would.
I would.
Yeah.
You're gonna upload some of these photos onto the website,
Yeah.
PPRStockReport.com?
I absolutely will. Yeah, I'm going to Photoshop my head on Ryan Tannehill's body. But that's going to be what I'm keeping my eye out on the most.
To me, I think that's why he's got to do good at football, because he's got to keep her around. Romo didn't do good. Jessica Simpson's gone. She's going to be dating Dak later.
And now I'm banging her on the podcast.
I know. All right, so now can we segue into Dallas, Seattle?
Yeah, let's do that. Dallas, I think it would be cheap to say we're looking out for Ezekiel Elliott. There's going to be no Dez in this game. I mean, I guess we probably have the same answer here, but it's the Dak Prescott show, baby.
It's a Dak versus Romo. I think you see 2 quarters of Dak, 2 quarters of Romo, and see who does best.
I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see my timeline tomorrow on Twitter. If Romo comes out and he's pedestrian, and then if Dak comes in.
Dak mania.
Oh my gosh. And if he's going to kill it, and then he's going to bang the homecoming queen.
He's going to be banging Jessica Simpson. We already talked about this.
Homecoming queen's 18 in my fantasy here.
I got you. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what everybody's watching out of Dallas right now. As a side note, Ezekiel Elliott's going to be playing. But what about on the Seattle side of things? I actually saw, this is how funny, do not let Yahoo auto-draft your team. They usually do pretty good. We had one guy that got auto-drafted in my league, and Marshawn Lynch is on his team.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch is still available in Yahoo leagues. I saw that, yeah.
How silly is that? So you're probably not going to see Marshawn Lynch tonight in the Seattle game. He's probably not going to be starting.
What piques your interest here, Trent?
I don't really have anything that I want to see out of Seattle. The Baldwin, I'd like to see him do pretty good. I think I kind of need to see more out of Russell Wilson. He has not looked as good as I would expect him to look so far.
That offensive line has been very suspect.
Yeah, not as good as what we would like. I mean, I don't really care about it, but that offensive line is probably not as good as Russell Wilson would like.
Christine Michael, over under 50 yards.
The legend. You know what? It's preseason. I bet he gets over 50. And it'll never happen again after week 1.
Okay, so what I want to see even more than the Christine Michael nonsense here, I'd like to see some coherency from that O-line a little bit better. But
what about Lockett?
That's where I was going.
I read your mind.
I don't even have notes. That's where I'm going. Yeah, I kind of want to see how they use the Lockett-Baldwin combo. Now, all offseason, we heard nothing but Lockett. We heard, the offense was more or less going to be built around Lockett. I have shares in Baldwin. I had shares in him late last year, and I really reaped the benefits. So, of course, I have a nice, warm feeling about Doug Baldwin.
And I did turn down a trade, Doug Baldwin for Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. I do believe Doug Baldwin, too many Heinekens. Doug Baldwin has potential to take it to that next tier. But I just don't know. So much Tyler Lockett talk.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they use him. I want to see if Doug Baldwin's kind of used as a true number 1 receiver, which I'm kind of forecasting him to be, but we'll see. Moving on to Friday, Trent, we have the New England Patriots
versus the Panthers.
Carolina Panthers, yes.
So, no word on Gronk playing. I'd like to see Gronk out there, but I really can't see.
Can I ask why? I mean, what do you want to see from Gronk that you haven't seen? I mean, what? Gronk's Gronk.
Are you asking what I want to see?
Yeah, I mean, why? I don't want to see Gronk out there.
I don't have Gronk in any league, so I don't care if he...
Okay.
I just want to see him go out there and be Gronk and spike some footballs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so you just want That
makes fantasy fun for me.
It makes it feel like a football Sunday if Gronk's out there spiking footballs.
He's probably not going to be. You're probably still gonna be out there seeing the Garoppolo game, and that's good for him. He's going to be playing the first 4 weeks. He needs to build that confidence, get that rapport.
You were schooling me on Garoppolo a little bit. We were talking this morning on our rides into work, respectively. Now, he's played quite a bit of football in the preseason so far compared to all of the other peers, I'd say, at the quarterback position. Who's been his most heavily targeted guy?
Oddly enough, James White has had the most catches from him.
Yeah, it's going to be something to keep your eye on there. I mean, that their offense revolves around that. I don't think they're going to change it up, and it's not going to be an air-it-out offense. So, I mean, that was just something we were talking, and, I took away from that James White might fill in for Dion there pretty well.
For a little while Garoppolo's there. When Brady gets back, he's throwing the ball to receivers. He's playing a real quarterback role. If you're seeing James White catch a lot of footballs, you can pretty much rest assured that Gronk, when he gets out there in real games, week 1, is going to be doing a similar thing as a safety valve for Garoppolo. Gronk's going to be Gronk. you gotta wonder what's going to happen with some of these other guys.
See, my interest in the whole Gronk-Garoppolo thing is Gronk eats in the red zone. Now,
Garoppolo might not get him in the red zone.
See, that's what I'm going to keep my eye on that. New England, I really am interested to see Martellus Bennett. I've been saying for the entire offseason since they signed him that I believe he's going to have standalone value regardless.
So he's going to be Hernandez of a few years ago before the murders.
He's going to be Hernandez, but less scary. Yes.
Less scary? Yep.
Yes.
Is he not scary?
I mean, he's not out there killing folks over bags of weed or whatever.
We didn't know that was happening with Hernandez either at the time.
Carolina side of the ball, Trent. The big thing for me here is going to be the usage, similar to Seattle. I said Lockett, Baldwin. I mean, it's really turning into a battle for the number one receiver down there. Devin Funchess, actually recruited as a tight end into Michigan, the Wolverines, against Kelvin Benjamin, who also looks like a female basketball player.
It shouldn't even be a competition. You got to think that Kelvin Benjamin should be the guy with the year that he had. Like you said, it was a lot of it was trash time hero.
Yes,
that year
in 2014. Yes.
Yeah, but D-Funch, that's what I'm calling him from now on. D-Funch.
Okay.
He, I guess he's looked really, really, really good in these.
I mean, there's not another nickname to give him. I mean, that's a real bad one, but I guess it'll stick.
You
D-Funch.
really can't do anything else with him.
Yeah.
D-Funch kind of smells. It looks like. Or it sounds like it should smell. To me, when I say D-Funch, it's like bad cheese.
You get an odor when you mention the name. Devin Funchess, I'm not sure. I'm not a Funchess believer. Like I said, he's kind of a tweener. He's not quite big enough for an NFL tight end. He's a little slow and overweight almost for an NFL receiver.
Not so big, is he?
DeAndre, I mean...
He's a little dude. I guess he put on some weight this year, though.
DeAndre's close to 6'2". He's probably 210. I mean, he's kind of... misleading on his size. He's not, I wouldn't call him a little dude. Probably built in a similar mold to like AJ Green. Funchess v. Benjamin. I want to kind of see who comes as the number one guy here. That's what I'm watching for in Carolina. What say you, my friend?
Yeah, Funchess was going to be the guy that I would talk about as the main.
Well, in your face then, dude.
I know, you read my mind.
Boom!
We've gotten to a point where we don't even have to talk. But that would make the podcast really boring. So
yeah, Heineken makes it boring, but I get it.
Yeah. Well, I've switched from Heineken to Monster.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Monster and Red Bull or just Monster?
I'm going to be drunk and hyped up.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Just regular Monster.
Nothing like a mid-pod heart attack, bud. So downers and uppers.
Yeah. Isn't that how people die? All right. Cleveland, Tampa Bay. This is... I like this. The Cleveland side of things. You got RG3 doing real good. You got Pryor looking real good. You got Barnage looking real good. Who would think that Cleveland would be looking this good?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually been some exciting news out of Cleveland. Of course, all the guys you mentioned there, yeah, I'm very interested in seeing. The guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye out, he's actually available in plenty of leagues, a vast majority of leagues actually, is Isaiah Crowell. Now, there was a lot of hype with Duke Johnson going into the year. Isaiah Crowell looks like he's going to be the starting running back.
I saw something about Duke going 1,300 all-purpose yards this year That's what the coaches are saying he's going to do.
Okay. I mean, that's, let's call that 600 rushing and, I don't know. It's 650 rushing, 650 receiving. There's plenty of room. There's plenty of yards left for Isaiah Crowell in that scenario.
I like it.
Tampa Bay, what are you looking at in Tampa Bay?
Gosh, one thing I saw about Tampa Bay is the Mike Evans thing. There's a lot of people picking him real early, first round.
Picked above Jordy, above Alshon in our home league, our APQ league.
He was. But he's got one of the harder wide receiver schedules. But like you pointed out, though, that's based on last year's stats.
Be aware when you're looking at the strength of schedule from last year. That's about as good as example as you can give, Trent, is they show how tough the strength of schedule for Mike Evans is
against defenses from last year.
Yes, so that means he was facing Josh Norman twice last year.
But he's not anymore.
He's not anymore.
So maybe it's a little easier for him than what you might see when you read these magazines or websites that are saying he's got the hardest schedule. I'm expecting Evans to have a real good year. I'd like to see him out there a little bit, and I want to see what Jameis does.
Me too.
Jameis was a guy that nobody gave a lot of credit to. We thought he was going to fall flat on his face last year.
One of 3 quarterbacks in history to throw for 4,000 yards in his rookie season. Do you know the other 2?
I don't.
Come on now.
What about Peyton?
We have Andrew Luck.
Which is just like Peyton. He's like a bearded Peyton.
And you don't know the other one?
Who you got?
Cam Newton. I didn't say that really confidently.
You just making shit up right now?
I am, yeah. I'm telling you, the Heinekens, they're a little heavier than Bud Lights. I'm going to stick with Cam Newton.
Cam was good.
Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, Jameis Winston, the only three. Somebody fact check me on the pod. Tweet us.
Hit us up on Twitter if this is incorrect.
I said, Cam Newton, question mark?
Oh, man. PPR bad stats. That's what your name's going to be.
PPR, that would be a good one. PPR bad stats. Yeah, PPR made up stats.
All right, so that's the Cleveland Tampa Bay. I don't really have anything else from that game that I want to see. Like, you got Doug
Muscle
Martin.
Hamster.
Muscle Hamster.
I don't want to see him out there.
You don't want to see him out there.
Let's keep Dougie healthy.
Especially since someone's going down this week.
Someone is going down.
All right, Green Bay, San Francisco, same thing. You don't really want to see Aaron Rodgers, but I want to see Predator.
Turkey Burger Lacey.
Turkey Burger Lacey. He runs like Predator when he's healthy.
Formerly Cheeseburger Eddie.
Yeah, he used
now
to be.
He's Turkey Burger Lacey.
Turkey Burger Lacey or Turkey Burger Eddie, whatever. I love watching him run when he's doing good. He does look like, if you watch those old school Predator movies with his dreads, he looks like that.
He absolutely does.
Awesome. And I was not excited about him before, but now I'm a little excited. I want to see him do well.
Yeah, no Jordy in this game. I think everybody's kind of watching Eddie to see if he's going to really own up to his second round price tag.
What about Jared Cook? He's actually looked good, and apparently he's scoring touchdowns left and right in practice.
I'm going to tell you what.
See, fool's gold?
Fool's gold. Yeah. I mean, unless you're in the deepest of deep leagues, Jared Cook, I'm staying away from.
I don't even think
we saw him here in St. Louis. We're from St. Louis, Missouri, and we had big expectations. Now, if you didn't follow him for his whole career, he out of college, he was drafted by Tennessee. Now, he was a combine wonder. He was a workout freak, and that's kind of what made his draft stock rise, but he's never put it together all the way on the field. Green Bay, no Jordy.
Is there even anything worth talking about in San Francisco? That might be the worst team in football this year.
I mean, I guess we could talk about Blaine and see if he can cement that starting job.
Blaine Gabbert is one quarterback that is available in the Jason Quinn League.
Okay, well, Jason Quinn.
Still not worth picking up.
Oof. I mean, keep your eye on him versus Cap. I kind of think they're looking to move on from Cap altogether. There's a weird deal there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Carlos
of course,
Hyde.
Yeah, we're looking at Hyde. I think we know what we're getting from Hyde. We have an idea at least.
So we don't need to see him out there.
What about Torrey Smith, though? Torrey Smith, a guy drafted late. He's a guy who had double-digit touchdowns just one full season ago. So maybe he's a guy to keep your eye on. See if they're using him as a true number one receiver.
And we've talked about it. Preseason, the scheme is more what you're looking at. You're going to see how people are being used. So
we have the Buffalo Bills versus the team in Washington. I can't say Redskins because that's racist, right?
Yeah, apparently.
The team in Washington.
I like that they're standing up. I don't think it's racist.
Josh Norman said he's part Indian somewhere. I'm not making this up. I don't know if you saw this.
I saw it. Okay. He said he's Indian, so it feels good to play for the Redskins.
Yeah, he's not offended.
I'm a Redskin playing for the Redskins.
Listen, guys, if Josh Norman's not offended, why should you be offended? That's what I want to know.
I want to know, did he get free Indian college? Well, he got free football college.
He got an Indian payday loan at 25% interest rate. Okay, sorry, we're getting off the beaten path here. We're actually running a little bit long, Trent.
We do that.
Buffalo, I'm holding my breath for the Ty God injury. What say you?
It better not happen. I want to see Ty God go out there and do well again. I want to see him put another season together real good. I want to see Sammy Watkins show us that he can play on that ankle, so that I can actually pick him and feel confident about it.
Sean McCoy looking very spry in the passing game. I'd like to see a little bit more of that this week.
He had a passing touchdown.
Not super fantasy relevant. Carlos Williams dropped by Buffalo.
He gone.
Keep your eye on that. Teams that, off the top of my head, Chicago, Washington. Yeah, I mean, there's a few teams out there. The Jets have brought him in, so we'll see. Redskins, Trent, what do we have here? What are we looking for?
Well, I mean, you've got Kirk Cousins out there. It's kind of vanilla with him at this point. I think the Washington Redskin offense, real boring offense to watch. Real just.
Nobody really excites you too much. I mean, I have one share in Deshaun, and I don't really like him.
And you got him really late because nobody likes him.
I got him in like the 14th round of a competitive league. 10-team league, but still.
Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to actually waste a pick on him. Hey, and he might be
Pierre Garçon's going undrafted, man.
Yeah.
Pierre Garçon in RG3's rookie year, which I want to say is 2011, led the NFL in catches.
Yeah. And we know we don't have Matt Jones, so I don't know. Nothing really out of Washington worth watching.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the game I'll be flipping to.
We have, to end the games on Friday here, we have Pittsburgh, New Orleans. A little bit more interesting game.
Yeah. You're still not going to have the big heavy hitters out there. We really need to see Sammy Coates do something before he just disappears into oblivion.
You know, this could be a nice Sammy Coates redemption game. New Orleans' defense is not that great. I wonder if they almost forced that on him. Now, if it's not that, you want to see what, the other guys there, we know what we're getting from Antonio Brown.
And Wheaton.
Let's see what Wheaton and DHB do. And then, I guess the tight end, Ladarius isn't going to be playing out there either. So, on the New Orleans side...
Michael Thomas is the only story right there right now.
Yeah, I think we know what we have with Cooks, right?
Yeah, we know. So, we know that...
What about Fleener? We got to watch Fleener and see, because, again, he's being drafted in the early mid-rounds there.
Yeah, but the problem is Fleener right now, he's not going to be... They're not going to be going out there running, like, their top-end plays... The hard plays that he's quote-unquote not grasping right now. It's going to be real vanilla. So you got to expect...
I don't know, Trent. The third preseason game, sometimes there's some real plays. And I think the first few drives are usually scripted for a lot of these teams. But I don't know. They're playing some real ball out there. I don't know. We're going to see if we get anything out of him.
So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on Fleener. Michael Thomas is the guy that I really like watching.
Samesies.
And at this point, it's because... I just want to get sad watching him do well since I traded him away. But, I think that's going to do it for the Friday games. Let's just look through the Saturday, Sunday games and see if anything jumps out at us since we talk way too long.
We do. We talk a whole ton. Let's see, real quick. Glazing over Kansas City, Chicago. We have no Jamal Charles for Kansas City.
It is going to be, like we said, Spencer Ware show. So
yeah,
keep an eye
Chicago,
on that.
I do think Langford, he shed the boot. I think he'll be in. Langford's going to be a guy I'm going to see if he's running gingerly or not.
Well, just him being in is good news if he had a walking boot on. So Detroit, Baltimore, I really want to see what Flacco does coming off. He says his knee's not 100%, but he said he can still play football. So we'll keep an eye on that.
I want to see how he's able to connect with Mike Wallace. If Mike Wallace could be a guy that can run away with...
Wallace is a guy that's out there right now on a lot of waivers.
A lot of leagues.
He's a free agent.
The Detroit side, for me, I want to see if they're able to establish anything at all in the run game.
Which they have not yet.
No, and I don't think they're going to. Marvin Jones is the other big guy I'm watching there.
Philly, Indy, Luck, supposed to be out there a decent amount.
Yeah, he was 8 for 8 in his 2 drives last week.
You can't... You got to feel real good if you got Luck right now, especially rolling into these games the way he's been looking. If he puts another game like that together, I expect his stock to really become more valuable.
Philadelphia side, Trent, I'm not sure if this has redraft. I don't know if this is redraft conversation worthy, but Dynasty League-wise, DGB is supposed to start. He's playing with the starters for Philly.
And I actually read that he's looking real good over there. He's kind of fitting in real good. And he might be a guy that moves up that ladder pretty easily.
He has all the physical tools. It's just all between the ears with him.
And he doesn't have a lot of competition. He's got Aguilar, who didn't do anything last year.
Yeah.
First
Matthews. Pick, though, nonetheless, yeah. Matthews, Jordan Matthews is a slot receiver. That's really not his competition. Jordan Matthews is a slot receiver. That's the way he plays. He's a bigger slot receiver, but he's not really challenging DGB.
Yeah. On the Indianapolis side, we talked about Luck, but we'll keep an eye on the Dorsett Parker. Dorsett Parker. I'm going to get you a Devontae Parker jersey, but on a Colts jersey. I'm going to get Devontae Parker on the back of a Colts jersey. I actually did the last one on purpose, but that one was a Heineken.
That's hilarious.
All right, so we're going to keep an eye on the Dorsett.
Were these Heinekens laced? You got they're German beers, aren't they? Holland, maybe? I don't know.
They're a little bit stronger. They're skunky as a mofo.
Yeah, they are disgusting.
Moncrief, we're going to see a little bit of him.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about Moncrief this year. We got a New York battle, Giants and Jets. Keep an eye on Rashad Jennings. Just see if he keeps doing what he's been doing. They really run him out there, especially if they're giving him the ball on the goal line. You got to like that.
I'm just overall interested to see how Fitzpatrick looked. Looked very off. You could tell that he had missed time. Double-digit touchdowns for both Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall last year. Let's see if they can kind of click again. Not sure if we're going to see Forte suit up. I am getting a little bit more concerned with his status. So if he's going to suit up, that's going to be something I'm really watching for.
Tennessee, Oakland, there's not a ton. Mariota has looked really good so far. On the Oakland side of things, I really want to see what Walford is doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want to see Amari. I want to see some hookups there with Carr.
Tajay Sharp from Tennessee.
Coming out of nowhere since the DGB move.
I want to see if he's looking like the guy that's going to be the number one there.
You've picked him up in a couple leagues.
I have. He's the guy that I'm most interested in this game. Oakland, kind of the usual suspects: Latavius, Amari,
same
etc.
stuff. LA and Denver. We've got
LA. The way you say that.
LA.
The Rams. The Traitor Rams. Benedict Arnold Rams.
Bastards. And I mean it if I'm dropping cuss words.
I almost picked Gurley as my guy to get hurt, but I didn't want to wish that on him.
Yeah.
Not that I want to wish it on Ty God, but
still gotta like Gurley though. I want to see him do well still.
When we drafted him last year, I was excited, but to see him out there in LA makes me kind of bitter.
Tavon Austin, that's your boy.
I'll tell you what, I hate Tavon Austin. I hate him. I hated the pick when the Rams picked him. I do have one share in him in our PPR league that also pays out very small amounts on return yards. So I do have him in one league.
Which we might not get a lot of return yards with the new changes. So
yeah.
Denver, we're going to be watching Seaman. See where the Seaman's where the Seaman's flying.
Oh Jesus!
We're gonna see what happens with that quarterback situation. I really, really want to see Demaryius do well. Mm-hmm. I also, in turn, want to see Emmanuel. I saw it on another feed that there's not that many 1-2 duos. I still think that Demaryius and Emmanuel Sanders is still a duo that you can own both of them and do well.
See, I disagree. I worry in general in a Kubiak offense, the number 2 receiver usually doesn't do that well. I mean, you go back to Houston days, you even go into Baltimore, you look. The second receiver is usually kind of an afterthought. Now, Emmanuel did crack 1,000 yards last year, but if they're going with Seaman at quarterback, that's another thing I worry about. So not only does he have the Kubiak offense that heavily, heavily favors the number 1 receiver, again, go back to Andre Johnson all those years with nobody at quarterback, and then that kind of parlayed right into Torrey Smith. The number 1 receiver eats big time in a Kubiak offense. Now, also with a young quarterback, they're going to have their safety blanket. They're going to have their one receiver they can't check off of. Little worried about Emmanuel Sanders there having legitimate fantasy value for where he's being drafted.
So you like Virgil Green?
I don't like Virgil Green. No, I like Demaryius. Demaryius, for some reason, people act like
so. Then C.J. Anderson.
Now, that's what I was going to say I'm looking for. I have shares in C.J., actually have him in our main league. I'm actually, it's not CJ I'm worried about. I want to see Devontae Booker have a bad game. Yeah, I hate to wish Devontae Booker, maybe you're on my injury list, but I need to have him get the pressure off CJ. Now, side note here, we'll move on from this game real quick. Ronnie Hillman might not make that team.
He might get cut.
Well, he's on the team as of right now, so maybe we see a little bit of him to see what he has, but rumor has it, Adele, that we're going to see him cut.
How the world changes year to
dun.
year. All right, Sunday games. We got San Diego, Minnesota. I want to see what Treadwell does. I imagine he's going to be out there a decent amount.
Yeah.
I need to see some Bridgewater looking good. I've got him.
I have Stephon Diggs at man crush level, so I really want to see what we have with him.
Yeah, but you don't want to see him go out there and get broken. San Diego side of things, Keenan Allen's my guy this year. He's my big buy. So I want to see him. I don't necessarily want to see him making these big, huge plays, but I want to see that the volume is still going.
Okay, yeah,
he needs to be a high target guy. You got anything else on San Diego,
just
Minnesota?
Melvin Gordon. I want to see if he can be a legit running back, starting running back.
And he looked good, and then he didn't look good. So we need to see what he can do.
It's tough. He looked good in that first preseason. He broke loose for a 44-yard touchdown reception.
Passing, yeah, a reception touchdown.
So let's see. I want to see some volume out of him, and I want to see some yards per carry out of him.
Arizona, Houston. We're going to see.
Is anybody playing Arizona? John Brown scrambled brains. Yeah. Fitz has a sprained MCL, I believe.
Well, David Johnson's getting hurt this week.
Oh, I hope not. I don't want to see that.
He's a guy that's going to be exciting, but I worry about him as far as his durability with his play style, how much he's played.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does this week.
He came into the league even injured last year.
He came in kind of crippled up.
Mentioned, if you've listened to the PPR Stock Report over the last few weeks, Arizona, keep your eye on that O-line, though, and the way they protect Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer, let's maybe use the term injury prone. He's at least had multiple serious injuries in his career.
And by how they protect him, what you're going for is it hasn't been happening
No,
so far.
he's been seeing a lot of pressure if you're watching those games. Let's finish this off, Trent. We have the Cincinnati Bengals. See what I did there?
Bengals.
Bengals versus the Jaguars.
So on the Cincinnati side of things, we've already talked about it, but we're really going to be watching Tyler Boyd. I want to see the Red Rocket out there looking good, just short-lived. I don't want to see too much out of him. Jacksonville side of thing, what do you think about the running back situation over there in Jacksonville?
I think that I'm going to stay away from it in every single format that I'm in.
All right, so do you think that offense is going to be scoring points like it did last year? Because, A-Rod's been looking really good out there. Do you think that you're going to get the same out of Robinson and you're going to get the same out of Bortles as what you got last year?
You know what? Allen Robinson, it's like the fantasy community ganged up on him, and everyone has him regressing. Now, he's like the highest rated, as far as Pro Football Focus goes on their rankings, he's the highest rated receiver in all of preseason so far. Do I think they're going to be scoring like last year? Yeah, I do. I do. They're not a great team defensively. They're going to be letting up points, so they're going to be coming from behind, I feel like. Bortles showed himself very well last year. He was very spry. I think they're going to be fine. I don't love that they brought in the plotting Chris Ivory. I really wanted to see what we had with TJ Yeldon.
You didn't like Ivory last year?
No, I hate... Yeah, because he had one good game when they're playing in shit London, and you throw him in there because you have no other running backs, and he ran for like 170 yards or some nonsense.
Beat that ass!
Okay, real quick, Trent, we're going to wrap this up, and you're gonna send us out and then play the cool music. The Atlanta-Miami game has started. We're 5 minutes into the first quarter. Matt Ryan, 2 for 3, 21 yards. Devonta Freeman, 1 yard rushing on 2 carries. Julio had a 17-yard grab. Devonta had a catch. And on the Miami side, Ryan Tannehill, 5 for 6, 36 yards, but he threw a pick. See, Lauren Tannehill, I'm going to tweet her right now and say, your loser husband throwing interceptions. Ajayi started the game, 4 carries, 5 yards. Is that good at football, Trent?
I think I could do that.
We didn't mention Jarvis Landry just because I think we know he's such a lock. He has a catch for 11 yards. A couple other catches peppered in there. Devontae Parker, 1 catch, 5 yards. So that's where we sit right now, guys, on the first game on Thursday, Atlanta versus Miami.
What's Dorsett doing?
Dorsett's at home watching, Dick. He doesn't play for this team.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it right there on that Dorsett news, watching from home. Catch us next week. We'll be telling you all about these games, and we'll be telling you about the most boring week in football, which is preseason week 4. And we'll be getting ready for the season. So, till then.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Every week.